A great saint from Maharashtra, Sant Jnaneshwar, had said, the abstract nature of consciousness cannot be perceived by worldly knowledge. Neither deep meditation, but it can be easily understood from stories. जे ज्ञानासी न चोजवे, which cannot be understood by knowledge. जे ध्यानासी न गावे, even meditation cannot catch that. ते सहजची फावे, that can be easily understood from stories. गोठी माझी, गोष्टी माझी. That is the reason a tradition of storytelling exists in Indian philosophy that we call as Puranas. Indian philosophy reveres conches or conch shells with great respect. The word conch is perhaps having its origin in Sanskrit word shankh, not only worshipped in daily prayers, but also conches have context to the kshatriyas, the warriors. The name of conch of Lord Krishna is Panchajanya. Twelfth century, current era, when Islam was about to invade the Marathwada region, Devgiri Prant, and that time there was a great saint born in Marathwada, and he stayed at a place near Pune called Alandi. His name was Sant Jnaneshwar. He wrote a commentary on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and in that commentary there comes a beautiful definition of storytelling. How storytelling would be means what? He says, जे ज्ञानासी न चोजवे, जे ध्यानासी न गावे, ते सहजची फावे गोठी माझी. Means it is beyond any perceptive form of knowledge. It is so subtle that even meditation cannot catch it. जे ध्यानासी न गवे, ते सहजची फावे गोठी माझी. That can be easily perceived through stories. And that is the reason you will see that most of the spiritual literature, the literature about superconsciousness, that comes in the form of stories or gospels. These stories, they come with the insight of lot many things, and here comes the importance of storytelling also. If we look at the storytelling in India, then we come to a great epic like Mahabharata or Ramayana. And you will see that at lot of places there is a reference of conches, conch shells especially. The name of conch shell that was owned by Lord Krishna, Bhagwan Vishnu, that was Panchajanya. So these conch shells, they have an important place in Indian scriptures, Indian history, Indian itihasa. And in these stories, the conches are found at two places. First, they are worshipped with Lord Vishnu, its statues, its murtis. And second is, they are assigned to the various different warriors at the battleground. The battleground of Mahabharata, for example, Lord Krishna holds the conch called Panchajanya, which is born from five elements of nature and which is owned by Lord himself. So conches, they are important in lot many cultures all over this planet, and they are used for a lot of different religious purposes also. Study of these conch shells is called conchology. Perhaps the word conch comes from Sanskrit word shankh. The second largest phylum of animal kingdom is mollusca. The largest phylum of animal kingdom is Arthropoda, and the second largest phylum is phylum Mollusca. These are the animals with very soft bodies, and they have a shell around their body. If we specifically speak about the snails, then snails have a large muscle at their base that they use to move ahead or for locomotion. So, these soft mollusks with shell on their back, they move using that muscle on their belly. That muscle, as it helps to move their body, they are named as gastropods. In Marathi language, there is a saying, and that is गोगलगाय आणि पोटात पाय. गोगलगाय आणि गॅस्ट्रोपॉड. So mollusks are classified into uh, seven main types. Those are Aplacophora, Placophora, Polyplacophora, gastropods, cephalopods, scaphopods, and bivalvia, bivalves. So these animals of soft body, they contribute to a great diversity in animal kingdom. Their shells, specifically shells of gastropods, they are often called conches, and there exist nearly more than 18,000 species of gastropods, specifically marine snails. They exist, their estimated diversity is approximately up to 18,000 species. So, these sea snails or gastropods, they include many mollusks, those have conches on their backside, on their dorsal side. Usually, when these conches are studied in greater details, then it is found that this shell is actually the secretion of the mantle part of their body. And this secretion takes a very specific shape. These shapes are even the matter of study for students of design also. Beautifully sculptured and having a vibrant pigmentation in various different species, these conches are interesting. Scientists found that these pigments are actually metabolic products of these snails, their dorsal part of their body, cells in the dorsal part of their body. And these pigments, when they were analyzed biochemically, it was found that they contain tetrapyrrole and porphyrin structures. Now, tetrapyrrole is four pyrrole rings, as we study in chlorophyll. Chlorophyll in the plants, it is a pigment, and that pigment has four pyrrole rings in it, and there is a cyclopentanone ring as well. So, does that indicate, is that an indication of some symbiotic association of any green alga on the shells or on the dorsal side of these mollusks in the past? That is also a matter of study, and scientists are studying this interesting thing, this phenomena. But in context to symbiosis, let us go to one more example. Let's try to understand that. And this example is of a conch, a conch that is used by a crustacean. This crustacean is called hermit crab. This hermit crab is called so because just like the solitary wandering or the monks in the solitude of mountains, these crabs are found on the shores moving in a solitary way, and that is why they are called hermit crabs. These hermit crabs, unlike the other crabs which have a chitinous exoskeleton all around their body, hermit crab lack that exoskeleton in the posterior part of their body. This lack of exoskeleton needs some armor to protect the posterior part. And that is the reason hermit crabs often use an abandoned shell of a dead mollusk, and they insert the posterior part, soft part that is not having any exoskeleton, they insert that into that conch shell. Now this hermit crab enters water. Once it enters into water, a sea anemone comes and rides on it. You know, anemones belong to phylum Monetaria, and they have tentacles with stinging cells in them. This poison is a mild neurotoxin, and that is how these anemones, they protect themselves from any predator. And now this works as a bodyguard of that hermit crab. This duo, it travels in water, ocean water, and as they move ahead, whatever is the food that is consumed by the hermit crab, that food is spilled on the backside. This spilled food that moves on the backside of that hermit crab, that is received by the anemone riding on its back. Anemones have a single pore at the top. This single pore at the top is an ostium, and it is surrounded by tentacles outside. There is no other end. So this digestive system has just mouth and no distal end. So this structure, or this kind of structure, is essentially, it is known as blind sac pattern. Sac, just like a sac, it has just mouth and there is no distal opening. So that is called blind sac pattern we find in anemones. Anemones ride on the back of that hermit crab, and they move in the water. This is also an example of symbiosis where anemone serves as its bodyguard while gets food, while the hermit crab is foraging. So this is one more example of symbiosis. Let's go to one interesting aspect also. We are talking about snails, specifically sea snails, and let us try to understand an interesting aspect of that. The cowrie snail, the snail that is a sea snail that has a shell which we call as cowrie in English. It is kaudi in Hindi, and in Marathi this is known as uh, kavadi. Binomial name of this sea snail is Monetaria moneta. Cowries or these cowries, they had an economic importance and represented the lowest denomination of economic transactions. So this cowrie or this cowrie, its binomial name is Monetaria moneta, given by Carl Linnaeus. This word monetaria we can easily understand as before some years there was there was a drive of demonetization of some currency notes, and those were replaced by new one. And this was historical because that event pulled lot of common people, masses, into banking sector, millions of them. So that is also an important process that took place in the past. All right. So monetaria moneta is kaudi. In Sanskrit language, it is called kapardik. When there used to be trade between India and Rome along the western shores of India, the Arabian Sea, and the ships used to travel to the Arabian Gulf and even the west up to Rome. This trade was done from India. There was a set of islands called Kapardik Dweep near the Malabar coast in the ocean. So these Kapardik Dweep, this set of islands, that was actually known for production of these shells. And here comes one more word, that is shell money, the word that is used for overseas transactions and even some different contexts also. But when there is trade along the shore, along the sea surface, then that is known as uh, shell money. That amount is known as shell money. The reason is it basically derives from this monetaria moneta, the binomial name given to cowrie or cowdy or cowdy kapardik. In Maharashtra, there is a tradition of worshippers of Mata Bhavani that they wear a necklace of cowries. And in the magnificent temples of South India, if we go, then there are some fortune tellers. There are some people who forecast the fortune, and while forecasting that, they make they use these cowries in their entire setup there. Something that is a kind of, you may find something unscientific, but as Rene Descartes has said, that metaphysics is the root of science. So let's look at this by that point of view. All right. So this cowrie snail is also an important example in the mollusks. We discussed specifically the symbiotic association between hermit crab and anemone in this part, and let's take one more example in the next part. Thank you for listening me so kindly. This is Lakshmi Raman Ozha, and you were watching SBTL webcasts.